Want some of this? What about some of that? How about this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've seen this sort of stuff before. This is Compiz on Linux. We're going to activate Compiz, and then we're going to go through all the steps to build up the system to pretty much what you're looking at here. It may look a bit different on your system because of the other theming and whatever you've got going on there. But we'll be doing this on a Linux Mint 19.1 Mate desktop. It should work on Xfce as well. Might work on earlier or later versions as well. It won't work on Cinnamon. That's a completely different thing. So if you like what you're looking at here, buckle up and get ready to go. As mentioned in the intro, we'll be doing this on a Linux Mint 19.1 Mate desktop. It will also work on Xfce, just that some of the settings are slightly different to get into the settings panel and whatever, but you'll pretty much find your way around there. It won't work on Cinnamon. Other distros, whether Compiz is pre-installed or not, I don't know. If it's there and the settings are the same, they'll probably work the same, but we're not really addressing that in this demonstration. We'll get rid of the welcome screen and we'll begin by activating Compiz, which we do through the control center. And this little desktop settings button here. We go to Windows and we just change marker on compositing to Compiz. Screen flickers, pretty normal. We can configure Compiz directly from this button right here, or we can also do it from the control center with this button here. And you can also type, if you activate the menu, CCSM in the menu will bring it up there for you in the menu as well. As you can see, the configurations manager is opened and we've got our little warning here, so heed the warning. You can break stuff. I have broken stuff. However, I'm pretty confident this will go pretty well. And as you can see, we've already got our Wobble Windows working. And we'll just drag this down where we can work with it a bit better. First thing we're going to do before we make any changes is go to Preferences. And we're simply going to export this profile called Mint. So I'll hit the Export button. I'll save it into Downloads. And I'll call it Before. You can call it anything you want. And I'm going to say no to this little question that it's asking here about skipping default values. And I'm going to export it again into Downloads as well. And I'm going to call this one After, and this will be the profile we'll use to make our changes. Again, I'm going to say no to that little question. And now I'm going to import them back in. We go to Downloads. And we go to After, and I'll call it After. We'll add it, and I'm going to import the Before profile. This will all make sense a little bit later on, and we'll add that. We'll be building using the After profile. And if something goes wrong, we can simply switch back to the Mint profile or the Before profile, and that should restore the settings as they were when we activated Compiz for the first time. We'll go back, and we're not going through all of the categories here because there's more settings in here than there are particles in the known universe. But we'll start in General, and we'll go to General Options and Desktop Size. And we can see that it's currently set to 4 and 1, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Now we're going to Desktop. We'll begin with Expo, and we're going to activate an Expo corner edge. Currently there's none, so we're going to click on that. I'm going to choose the bottom left hand corner. Now I don't recommend you actually do this because your menu's there as well, and you're going to be forever doing that when you're going for the menu. I simply did it because this is a virtual machine and my host is running in the background, and they'll clash if I use the same corner. So I'm just doing it for convenience here. Moving right along, we've now got, as you can see, Expo working, Expose mode, and we can use the arrows on the keyboard to go across the different desktops, and we can select it with the mouse, whatever we want to do. We'll go to Behaviour, and we have an animation called Zoom, and we have a duration. I'll just crank the duration up a little bit so you can see a little bit better what it's doing. So that's the default zoom profile there. There is zoom and fade, or fade and zoom, which is slightly different. And there is Vortex, which looks like something out of a Jackie Chan movie. I'm just going to go back to the default of zoom, and I'll do the same up here with the duration. These little X's down the side, if you're not sure what you've done wrong, you can just hit those and you watch what happens to the 1. Goes back to the default of 0.3. So most menus have that, and you can simply hit that and restore back to where it was. In appearance, we're going to change deformation. We'll change that to curve, and you'll now see the ends of the 4 desktops have curved around a little bit. I'll show you that a bit more graphically here by cranking it up like that. So we'll go back to about 6.5 or somewhere there. It usually gives us a reasonable look, just a nice bit of a curve. The camera distance just changes how far away the zoom takes it effectively. You see there it zooms way back like that, and if we go back to the default, it only zooms that far. We have down the bottom here reflection with a little plus. We'll hit the plus to open the menu. Now we can scroll down. You can see it's all bright and shiny down the bottom here, reflecting the desktops and the window there. If we uncheck this here, you'll see that there is no reflection down there anymore, and it's all gone quite dark. So we'll turn that back on, and we've got our reflection back. We are pretty much finished in there for now. We'll go back to General, and I'll just show you what this other option does that I showed in the beginning. So we'll go to General Options again, Desktop Size, and we'll crank that up to 2. And you see we've now got two rows of desktops there that we can use to put our windows on. We could have 3 and 6 if we wanted it, like that, or if you like, you can go 2 and 2. Will give you that effect. But we'll go back to the default of 4 and 1 because it works quite well with the cube. And we'll go back to the desktop category. The cube is already present, and if I hold down Control, Alt, and then use the left and right arrow keys on my keyboard, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just went around the block on the cube. If we activate the viewport switcher, I can now use my mouse wheel out here. So I just push the mouse wheel down like that, and there is our cube. It's rather gigantic. So we'll now go into Rotate Cube, and there's one down here called Zoom. That's currently on 0, so we'll crank that up. About 0.8 or something I think works pretty good. Where are we? I can't even get my numbers right there. We'll go 0.8. There we go. That's made it a little bit more manageable in size. That's about all we're going to deal with in that menu there. We'll now go to Desktop Cube, and we'll begin with the transparent cube, and we'll wind this down 20 or 30 or something like that, and you can now see that it's transparent to some degree. Pretty handy for finding your lost windows when you're looking through the cube. Non-rotating opacity gives this effect. So while it's not rotating, it's very different, as you can see there. So we'll just return that to the default value by clicking the little X there, and there we go. You've probably also noticed that the settings, as soon as they're applied, they happen instantaneously, except there I just had to refresh the desktop by clicking on it. We'll go up a little bit more on the, there we'll go up to about 40. Go to Appearance, Cube Cap Colors, so currently the cube is sort of hollow on the top and the bottom there. If we want to give it a bit of colour, we can click there, pick up the little eyedropper here, we'll give it a blue sky, and we'll go OK, and you can see it's got a bit of a blue tinge there now. We can do the same with the bottom, pick up the eyedropper, a bit of green grass on the bottom there, like that, and now we've got green on the bottom, blue on the top, if that's your thing. In Behaviour, we can go inside the cube if we want. This looks a bit different. And we're now inside the cube, as you can see, like that. And that's about all we need to deal with there for the moment. I think we're pretty good. Moving right along, we'll go to the Effects category. We'll start with Animations because it's already activated. Got these tabs across the top. If we hit this little arrow, we can go right out to the last tab, which is called Effect Settings. And we're just going to check this little box here, like that. And I'll go to a different desktop. We'll just open a couple of things up. And you'll see we get different effects now when we minimize and restore them, etc. They fade in and flop out and flip over and do magic wavy things. So you can have hours of fun with that. You can customize individual ones of these. If you want to customize the close animation or the open animation, you can select the ones you want down the bottom here, like that. But that's about all I'm going to deal with in that particular category there. We'll go into 3D windows, and currently you can see that the windows are actually flat on the face of the cube there. We'll enable the plugin. And now you'll see they're standing out away from the cube. And when I turn sideways, you can actually see that window does have a little bit of thickness to it there. So we'll work on that next. In the Window Depth tab, over here, we will crank this value up to that. And you'll see the difference. See, it's quite a bit thicker now, down the edges there. We'll give it a bit of colour on the edge, pick up the eyedropper there, and we'll go for a bit of a yellow tinge there, wind it back, and we'll do something with the other one. Go there, we'll give it a bit of a pink tinge, like that, and this one should be yellow, and the others should be pink, and they are. You can play around there to your heart's content. We go back to Miscellaneous Options. I think if we crank the cube size down, we should get a smaller cube there somewhere. We crank the space up here, something like that. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere now. I'll just go back to the default on that. No, they sort of do depend on each other a little bit. So if we wind that up like that, you can. Again, you can play to your heart's content there, little cubes, big cubes. The window space is supposed to be, as far as I know, the actual distance. You can see they're a lot further away from the cube there now, so if I put that back to 10, they are closer. And if we crank that up again, they are further away. And again, I think that's depending on whether they're the active window or not, but you basically get the gist of what the setting does. I think that just about finishes us off for 3D windows. We'll go to Cube Reflection and Deformation, and we will enable it, and it has made the cube into a sort of a cylinder there, and it's darkened things up a little bit on us. This doesn't actually happen on my machine. I'm just, as I mentioned earlier, this is a virtual machine, and that seems to make it go a bit dark, but nonetheless we'll persist with it. We'll go to Deformation. You can see it's on cylinder. We can put it on sphere, and you can impress your flat earth friends with that one. If we go to none, we just get our cylinder, our cube back again like that. We'll go to reflection. Not much in there. There's some. You can probably change the darkness and that with these colours, but I don't play with them on my own system. and the reflection mode, etc. I have fiddled with them before, I can't really tell a lot of difference. So we'll go to cube caps, and you'll now see that the top of the cube and the bottom of the cube have sort of got a bit of a an image in them there, like that. So if we go new and we browse, and I think I've put something in pictures. No, I have not. We'll just go to the file system and we'll go and find some images here in backgrounds. That'll do. And we'll find something that's a little bit lighter that we can actually, that one there might work. We enable JPEG, close, and now it turns up down here. We click on it and press up, takes it up, and we should now have a bit of an image there in the top. It's a little hard to see with the darkened effect, but I'm pretty sure you'll see it on your own machine. We'll do the same to the bottom. Go there, we'll go to the file system and backgrounds, where are they? There. And we'll just pick something at random here. That looks good. And we just simply close that. There it is, it's turned up down here now. Same thing, click on it and press the up button, and we should have something on the bottom there and something on the top. Very nice. So you can take your own pictures or download some images, whatever you like there. I'll go back, and we are pretty much finished in there for the moment, I think. Oh, there is Wobble Windows. I'll quickly just go through this. So the main two here is the friction and the spring. So if we wind the friction up like that, it just feels, like you're dragging it through molasses. And the spring, if we wind that down, it gets, go down a little bit more. I've got to be a bit careful with this because it can take a while to spring back. There we go. So it's just doing its own thing there for the moment. It'll come back to us in a second. There we go. We'll just hit the defaults there for safety. I put too much spring or friction on one of them earlier, and it took almost a full minute to unravel itself. So have fun with Wobble Windows. I don't use them myself, but if that's your thing, enjoy. That's pretty much all I really touch in there. I don't use extras, image loading or utility, so we'll go to Window Management. We'll start with Workspace Naming, and you'll see here when I go, no, we have to enable it first. That usually helps. We'll enable text, and I'll just simply change this first one while we're there, and I'll call it video just to give it a name. And you'll see what happens. We'll get viewport 2, and if I go back we should get video. There we go. So you can just simply rename your desktops, whatever you want to call them. And if you pick 16 desktops, we'll have fun naming them, won't you? And in the appearance section here, you can just change the background colours and fonts and whatever there, how long it displays the viewport or the video name, whatever you've called it, and so on. So we'll leave that as it is. We'll go into Place Windows. It's currently on Smart. So if I open a new window, you'll see it opens up into that corner there. So I like Centered, for example. So now we'll enable it, and that should open into the center of the screen there. There are some other options there if you want to entertain yourself, but now you know roughly what the settings do. And I don't play with anything in there. You can probably tweak it even further in there, but I don't get into that. The ring switcher, we'll enable the ring switcher, and I'll go Alt Super or Windows key and then Tab, so Alt Super Tab, and we get this effect. That is the ring switcher. And if we go Alt Super Shift and Tab, they simply rotate back the other way like that. So Alt Super Tab goes that way. We press Shift as well, they go that way, like that. Again, you can configure your own key bindings and whatever up in there. We have not much else in there that I play with. You might want to change where the text is centered there. You can see it's in the middle of the screen there at the moment. Where are we? Back to Compiz. In general options, we can also allow the mouse selection, which I do myself. So if I go Alt Super Tab, now I've got the mouse available to me. If I want to click on that, I can do it that way. Makes it a bit easier, especially when you've got a lot of windows floating around. So that's the ring switcher. We'll go to the shift switcher, and we will enable the shift switcher. We'll resolve conflicts, usually by clicking this right hand window. This might undo some other key bindings you've got, so use that at your own risk as usual. And I'm going to select a corner edge, and again I'm going to choose the bottom right. I normally use the top right for this, but again, because I've got my host system running in the background, this is to avoid a conflict. So now if I run down into the clock here with the mouse, we get this effect like that. Or I can run the mouse that way or that way, depending which way I roll the mouse. We have not much in there that I touch. Nothing in, the only thing there is Emblem. You can see they have their little icon in their bottom right hand corner there. And that one there looks like that because it's currently minimized. So if I click on that, it's no longer minimized. And now it just shows its emblem in the corner. So the ones that are showing up a full big icon the size of the windows almost is simply telling you it's open, but it's minimized. So if we change that to big, we get that effect. You can see it's sort of putting a big emblem in the middle of the window as well. And we can just go, you can also have none, so it's just like that. Fairly self-explanatory. I'll just go back to the emblem, which is default. We have shift mode. That's currently what's called cover, which is the effect you've been looking at there like that. We can go to flip, and that's like a marching window. Slightly different. Go back. You can change the angle of the flip. If we crank that up a little bit more, like that. And again, you just run the mouse into the corner and roll the mouse wheel to get them to march. Where's that one there? And we'll go back to default, and same with cover. If you want to change the angle in cover mode there, you can just crank it up a little bit on the setting there, like that. And we need to change that back to cover. And now you can see those ones left and right of the center one are almost pointing their edges at us. So we'll go back, and I'll just hit the little X again to go back to the defaults. And that is about all I bother myself with in there. And that pretty much concludes the setup. That'll pretty much take you up to about the same as what you saw in the introduction to the video. As I say, it'll look different on your system with your different themings and whatever. So now we'll go back into preferences, and I'll simply go from after. So after now contains all those settings we've changed from the start of the video. If we go back to the before shot, as they say, now our corners won't work. That corner's not working. That corner's not working. The cube's not working. We should have wobbly windows still though. So now we've only got whatever was enabled before we started making changes, hence the before. So if we go back to after, I should have my corners back like that, and the cube like that. As you can see, there's quite an advantage in saving a profile like that. And beyond that, you can also simply go to your folder. Where are they? In downloads, and you could copy them onto a USB drive, and if you need to reinstall Linux or build another system somewhere else, you can just copy those back in again, and yeah, you guessed it, you're going to have all your settings there just the way you made them as after or before, depending which one you use. that's pretty much covered most of the tutorial side of things, or the demonstration. The other thing is that although the effects are impressive, you know, flashy, impressive, good to show off to your friends, they're actually quite functional as well. For example, I might be watching a video here and I'm transcoding another video, or editing, or doing something else on another screen, downloading, whatever it is, without interrupting the video. I'll keep playing there. I don't have one at hand here to demonstrate, but trust me, it works. The video will keep playing here in real time, and I can see what's going on over here in real time, or the other windows, the other virtual desktops. And the same thing with the cube. If you have a video playing, you can actually look through the back of the cube like that and watch the video from the other direction. It keeps playing in real time as well. So not only are they flashy, but they're very functional as well. And look, it's just good fun when you go, what desktop am I on? I am totally lost. And so that's where Expo is a real bonus there. You can just see all 4 of them there at once. I hope that helped demystify some of the Compiz settings, because there is quite a bit of stuff in there, and knowing what it all does, it's like another language when you get into some of the settings, knowing what they mean, what they do, how they affect things. I hope you enjoy tweaking your system, making it the way that you like to have it. Enjoy your Compiz.